Hello, welcome to the true Old West on the Time Capsule channel. In this video, you'll see rare and authentic photos that might change your perspective on this era. Unseen images reveal the real Old West rarely found in history books. Leave a like to support our work and join us on this journey through time. A family with all members and their dog and horses posed for the camera, showing how well they were doing out west. The family would like you to know how big their melons are and a cow can climb your house. A 1892 photograph of a poacher standing on a pile of around 100,000 bison skulls waiting to be crushed down for fertilizer. In the 19th century, American bison were hunted to near extinction. Entrepreneurs and hunters killed the animals for their prized skins and left their bodies behind to decay. Several men firing their guns at another man's feet in an unknown Old Western saloon in Wyoming, 1880s. Back then, the only way a poor man could avoid getting shot was if he jumped as fast as he could, which was called a bullet dance. A family of settlers living in a tent on the 3-block range, New Mexico. A boy sits on the chair looking at his dog. The photos capture their excitement and hope for a fresh start. An oxen train moving down Main Street in Hiko, Hamilton County, 1890. The main street in the picture is very wide, so that a wagon or a full team of horses could turn around easily. Several gold miners working in a minefield in Alaska, early 1900s. They dig gold ore with picks and shovels and wash the dirt through pans in the ditch, leaving the gold in the bottom. Clancy's Saloon in Skagway, Alaska, circa 1897. On the right side, large wooden building with the sign Clancy's Saloon, a popular spot in town. Several people are standing on the porch. The street is muddy, with trees cut down. A few other small buildings visible on the left, advertising merchandise and feed. Two saloon girls show off the wares on the Alaskan frontier, 1890. Saloon girls served as servers or dancers, earning their income primarily through drink sales. Despite the challenges and risks they faced, saloon girls played a significant, yet often overlooked role in shaping the culture and economy of the Wild West. Chief Little Soldier, a chief of one of the tribes of northwestern Shoshone people in Utah, c. 1869, sitting on the ground with a bow and several arrows in hand. Annie Oakley is shooting an apple off her dog's head, early 1920s. She was in her 60s at the time. Her style and shooting skill once influenced the whole country. A rider fills his keg from a desert well 30 miles north of Palomas, Arizona. His horse refreshes himself nearby, 1907. A cowboy Bronco Bill and his family posed for a photo, 1887. In those years, kids were allowed to have rifles or guns. Buffalo Soldiers of the 25th Infantry Regiment, Fontainebleau, Montana, 1890. These units served honorably for decades. They fought in Cuba during the Spanish-Americans, supporting Roosevelt's left flank on the Battle of San Juan Hill. Calamity Jane at the grave of Wild Bill Hickok in Deadwood, South Dakota, 1903. Dr. Susan Anderson, 1900, known as Doc Susie, was a pioneering female physician in Colorado. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, she faced numerous challenges in a male-dominated profession and harsh frontier conditions, but persevered to become a beloved figure in her community. Bass Reeves, 1910. He was a former slave and turned deputy U.S. Marshal, a legendary lawman of the Wild West. He was known for his unparalleled skills as a tracker and his unwavering dedication to justice. Deadwood City, Main Street, the summer of 1877. The Wyoming store occupies the narrow 20-frontage building located 2 doors down from Shingle's Saloon. Next is the Deadwood Theater with its 30-pine frontage and dark-colored facade. A saloon girl from the Wild West, striking a suggestive pose while rolling dices, early 1900s. A group of men drinking beer with a horse at a saloon in Castle Dale, Utah, early 1900s. This photo was taken moments before the horse kicked the seated gentleman in the head, forcing the bartender to ban all horses from the bar. The Bob Saloon in Miles City, Montana, 1880. Several men sitting on chairs, and a man sitting on ground where horse wastes just beside him. In 1870, Herman Lehman, a German immigrant, was captured by Apaches. He fully embraced their culture and became a warrior. After 9 years of raiding with both Apaches and Comanches, he was reunited with his family, but struggled to reintegrate into white society. An 11-year-old white boy named Jimmy McKinn, photographed among the Indians in Tombstone, Arizona. He was caught in the crossfire of the Apache Wars in 1885, but he bitterly resisted being returned to his family, wanting to stay among the Apache. This scene became a symbol of his captivity and the complex relationship between the Apaches and white settlers. A photo of the last reunion of the Indian survivors of the Battle of the Little Bighorn, 1948. An undated photo shows Oglala Lakota Chief Irontail with Black Diamond, the bison. It's believed that their images were used for the design of the Buffalo Nickel, which first came out in 1913. A studio portrait of 4 Apache scouts in 1888. A scout is shown to be drinking Teeswin, an alcoholic beverage brewed from corn. 2 scouts standing with a loading rifle look really serious. Frederick Wadsworth Loring with his mule, Evil Merodach, taken about 48 hours before the Wickenburg Massacre and his own unfortunate death in 1871. The Wickenburg Massacre was a tragedy in Arizona's Wild West history. Deadwood, South Dakota, 1888. When the railroad arrives, it effectively ended the stagecoach's reign as the primary mode of transportation to and from Deadwood. People are celebrating the completion of a stretch of railroad. General Custer and Colonel Ludlow with a grizzly bear, 1874. Bloody Knife, the native Indian guide, spotted the grizzly but let Custer take the first shot. He wounded the bear in the thigh. Ludlow and Bloody Knife finished the grizzly off. The other man in this picture is John Noonan. A scene of hydraulic gold mining in a forested area in Oregon, 1890. A powerful water jet is being used to erode the hillside. A group of people, including men and women in period clothing, stand near the edge of the excavation, observing the operation. In the background, a small wooden cabin and a horse are visible. The surrounding area is cleared of trees, reflecting the impact of mining on the environment. A man riding an elk in Sheridan, Wyoming, 1910. Elks are not commonly ridden on their back, but there are multiple examples from this time. People have been taming elk and reindeer to ride on their back and pull carriages and sleighs for a long time. Las Vegas, Nevada, 1895. A man sitting with his dog beside a creek flowing in front of a humble homestead, located somewhere close to the Mormon mission, later known as the Las Vegas Rancho, and even later as the Stewart Ranch. A photo of Mary Fields, known as Stagecoach Mary, holding a rifle. She was born into slavery, but became the first African-American star route mail carry, braving bandits, blizzards, and wolves to deliver mail across Montana. She never missed a delivery, and well known for her kindness and generosity to her community. Sheriff Henry Plummer hanged in the gallows he built. Plummer led a gang of road agents in Montana during the gold rush. He was eventually caught and hanged by a vigilante group in Bannack, Montana, 1864. The law and the lawless overlapped often back then. Several underground miners sit in the pit, taking a break for lunchtime, a typical lunch break for them in Butte, Montana, 1905. Little Wound was an Oglala Lakota leader who was initially skeptical of the ghost dance. However, after witnessing the government's harsh treatment of those who practiced it, he became more involved in the movement. Little was a respected leader among his people, advocating for their rights and trying to navigate a difficult and rapidly changing world. The Ute people's deep ties to Utah, the Rocky Mountains, and the Colorado Plateau are a testament to their enduring legacy as an integral part of the region's history and cultural landscape. A timber bridge was collapsed by a threshing machine in Parker County, 1890s. People gathered and trying to get the threshing machine out of the collapsed bridge. View of 3 horses, 2 with travois attached. A woman, probably Blackfoot, stands at left, and a bundled child sits on one of the travois. Wire fence and plains in background. Tom Horn was braiding a rope in the Laramie County Jail office in Cheyenne, 1902. That's a twisted horsehair. It's attached to a braided rawhide loop that goes around the animal's muzzle and then used as reins to steer the animal. A scene captured the face of outlaw Tom "Black Jack" Ketchum as he was about to be hanged in Clayton, New Mexico, 1901. However, the rope they used was too long, and the botched hanging resulted in Ketchum being decapitated. A young lady of the night carefully prepare herself, wearing a nightgown and putting on high-button shoes with a suggestive pose, 1901. Seems like she is late for breakfast. A photo of well-heeled and well-armed Private Frank L. Schmidt. He joined the Texas Rangers in 1886 and was shot in the line of duty on August 16, 1889. Unfortunately, he never fully recovered and died from complications from his wounds in 1893. An 1886 photograph of 4 Pawnee women and 2 infant children in front of teepee and another shelter covered with hide. One woman is preparing hide, an animal skin for tanning or drying. Dogs or puppies are standing on the hide. A group of pioneers outside of the Alexander Hotel, New Mexico, c. 1888. Each one holds a rifle or a shovel or a pick or something. Stone houses like this were quite common in the West, some more rudimentary than others. A cowboy cooking beside his roundup wagon, another cowboy laying down in the tent. The roundup wagon carries supplies and utensils for making foods and biscuits, and they would sometimes have a barrel of water for cooking and drinking. Quanah Parker, a prominent leader among the Comanche people in his early 40s. In 1890, the Wounded Knee Massacre occurred, marking a tragic end to the Indian Wars. Quanah Parker's leadership and advocacy during this turbulent period were crucial in helping his people navigate the challenges and preserve their cultural identity. Somewhere east of Salem, Oregon, around 1890 to 1900. Big trees in the background, some of the trees already cut down. A picture, before the robber barons cut down all the trees. It was said this place is all farmland now. Two Apsaluk on horseback outside of a teepee in a snow-covered forest in Montana, 1908. The Arizona Club, circa 1907. It was one of the first permanent buildings in Las Vegas, Nevada. An Old West lady of the night poses in front of an elaborate Victorian backdrop in Colorado, circa 1900. A grim scene of the outlaw John Shaw, removed from his coffin and propped up against a picket fence for one last drink of whiskey with his killers. The photo was taken on April 8, 1905. This was after the infamous Canyon Diablo shootout, Arizona. A freight wagon with more than 20 mules across the Mojave Desert approaches Prescott, Arizona territory in the 1890s. Two Apache tribe members, each holding a willow-woven from baskets outside their wickiup, Arizona, 1880. Dodge City, Kansas in 1875. On the right, Beatty and Kelly restaurant at the corner of First Avenue and Front Street. Next to the Beatty and Kelly restaurant was the Alhambra Saloon. In 1885, a fire destroyed the restaurant and saloon. In its place, Kelly built and opened the Kelly Opera House. The bar at the notorious Gem Theater in Deadwood, South Dakota around 1880s. The owner was pimp and entrepreneur Al Swearingen, pictured third from the right. Main Street of Tombstone, Arizona, c. 1880s. The street is wide, made for easy U-turns. Buildings on both sides are visible. People gathered in front of shops or restaurants, chattering. A photo of outlaw John Sontag, who had just been shot to death in 1893. He was not yet dead when this picture was taken. That photo captures a grim moment in the life of John Sontag, a notorious outlaw in the American West during the late 19th century. A steam tractor hauling borax in the Calico Hills of Southern California, circa 1900. Outlaw Bill Longley being caught in 1878. Longley boasted that he'd killed 32 men in gunfights. In reality, Longley killed a fraction of that number, and most of his victims were murdered. A young lady of the night, sitting in front of a mirror, looking at a photo of her own in Sally Shearer's brothel, 1892 to 1900. Two Navajo on horseback near the base of Shiprock in New Mexico, 1914. The Navajo name for the peak means rock with wings or winged rock, refers to the legend of the great bird that brought the Navajo from the north to their present lands. A sandstorm over Midland, Texas, 1894. Farmlands in that area are bare in the spring. When the windstorms most commonly happen, farmers do try to battle it so that their crops don't blow away by sand knifing them. Redwood logs on train on way from forest to mill. People standing beside train and on top of logs. A sign beside tracks in foreground says, Excelsior Redwood Co., Eureka Cal. A posed photo of the outlaw Jesse James, holding a handgun in left hand at his waist, 1864. In the spring of that year, Jesse was a lanky, 16-year-old, impressionable teenager with sharp blue eyes. He joined a bloodthirsty guerrilla group, led by Bloody Bill Anderson. They terrorized pro-Union enemies in the Missouri countryside. A crow, also called Apsarok, riding on the horseback in snow, he is scouting the territory. The background is covered with snow, probably in Pryor Mountains, Montana. 1908. Virgil Earp, best known for his time as the Marshal of Tombstone, Arizona, where he was tasked with arresting people who illegally carried guns in town. And that led to the so-called gunfight at the OK Corral. He was wounded and crippled a couple of months later in an assassination attempt. The main street of Helena, Montana, decorated with flags and festive adornments for the Independence Day Parade in 1889. Theodore Roosevelt and John Muir on Glacier Point, Yosemite Valley, California, 1903. Roosevelt had read Muir's writings on how the wild forests were vanishing as ranchers and developers destroyed the wilderness for their own uses and for money. Roosevelt wondered if this were really so, and he asked Muir to take him through the Yosemite. A view of the camp at Hidden Wood Creek, South Dakota, during Custer's Black Hills Expedition, 1874. The expedition aimed to explore, map, and potentially exploit the Black Hills, while also asserting U.S. strat dominance. And in fact, the expedition provoked conflict with the Native Americans. The Cherokee Outlet opening in Oklahoma Territory in 1893. This land run opened up 6 million acres of land to settlement. It was the largest land run in Oklahoma history and involved over 100,000 participants. A pivotal moment in westward expansion marked by a massive land rush and the rapid settlement of previously unclaimed territory. Thank you for watching another video here on the channel. If you enjoy this type of content and want to see more videos like this, don't forget to leave a like and share your comments. It really helps us reach more people and bring even more interesting content for you.